The freezing wind rustled outside. He sat in his chair staring outside the slight frosted window. He had been sitting there for a couple of hours, just waited for time to come by. He took a deep breath in and flushed it out, fogging up the window pane. His mind appeared blank. His lips trembled slightly. He continued to stare outside the window into the dark abyss. The light in his room behind him blazed on dimly, lighting the room barely enough. He rested his elbows on the windowsill with his chin on his palm. His blinks began to slow down, and with each time his eyes were less widened. Tired from mental fatigue, he began to doze off, ever so slowly. "Timmy!" his mother yelled in a shrill. At that single instant, Timmy awoke with widened eyes and moved forward in one quick motion. He banged his head into the window pane from the sudden calling of his name. "Go to bed! It's already 10:30! He sighed and continued to sit at the window. As he sat there, he heard his parents go upstairs to bed. He sighed again and eventually fell asleep. The bell rang, and every class was let out for lunch. Timmy walked out from his history class and headed to his usual lunch spot where he would meet up with his friend to eat. He sat at the bench for a few minutes waiting for his friend. David emerged from the vast ocean of kids that seemed to wave from side to side. He stopped in front of Timmy and loomed over him to weird him out. "What?" "Oh, nothing." "So what's up?" "Nothing." "Well, history was boring as usual. How was your science class?" "Same as always. We need some more thrills in our lives." "Amen to that, brother." "Hey, while we're on that subject, you want to do something I got planned out?" "Sure, I suppose. What is it?" "Well, there's this house that's run down and abandoned, but it looks really spooky. However, it has no trespassing signs everywhere around the place." So what about this place?" "Duh, we can sneak into it. It looks scary, plus its address is 666. Unless you're too big of a pussy." "Well, of course you're a pussy. You never take risks." "Well, I don't know." "Well, you're coming in, that's that. I need a compass. And we are friends, right?" Timmy slipped from under his palm, and he banged his head into the window pane again. He looked at the time. The clock struck midnight. He sighed again and stood up. He glanced around his room, half dazed and half weary. He stumbled towards his pile of disorganized clothes. He bent down to pick them up. He got dressed quickly and stood there inside his dim-lighted room. He hesitated to move and stood there for quite a while, staring into a corner. Standing there for what seemed to be a long time, he kept thinking to himself about all the outcomes that could happen. He was scared to even step out of his house. Timmy continued to stand there, analyzing and running through the possibilities that might happen to him if he gets caught. He sighed again, and his hands started to tremble from nervousness. He turned his head to his left with a quick jerk to glance at his table, blinked a few blinks and sighed. He wasn't sure what he was getting himself into and knew what would happen if he got caught. Friends since forever, he didn't want to betray David now and didn't want to start now. His hands were padded with warm mittens, sweatpants covered his legs and draped over his head with a black sweater hoodie. Nervous at the same time, yet compelled to seek adventure, he took a step forward towards his desk and grabbed his keys, flashlight, and cell phone. He paused with doubt in his mind. He almost stopped to undress back into his pajamas. Without moving his head, he looked up as far as he could with his eyes towards the ceiling. His parents had fallen asleep by now. Timmy started to move again. He placed his things into his bag. Risks, he thought to himself. He hardly took risks, afraid of the consequences. He stood there holding onto the strap of his bag, pondering why he was so afraid. The time read 12:15. Timmy was running late. In fact, he didn't care. He hoped to lag time by a lot so that he wouldn't have to go. He sighed and gave up. He pulled the bag off the ground and fastened it around his back and chest. He turned around to face his door. He stepped forward, hesitated for a bit, and sighed again. His hands still trembled, and as he stepped out of his room, he pressed his hand against the light switch. He flicked the light off.